Okay, Lawn Boy, pretty much all torn apart. All I really have left to do on this is take the wiring harness, the engine, and the transaxle, and obviously the hoops and casings. The rear hoops need to go back on the red machine, and both fronts will be saved. One will stay with the machine I'm putting together, and one will go with the machine that's already sold, which I'll show later on in the video. As for the dash, this one was a bit more involved to take out. Since the engine was in place, it was a little bit tighter clearances to get some stuff taken out. The wiring harnesses are just about the same, except for this one only uses one fuse. The Toros use 3 fuses. Don't ask me why, but they do. These machines don't have electric PTOs. It's just a simple electrical system, but they still use 3 fuses. They might ground, or they might fuse the ground. I really don't know. So as for the dash, it came out reasonably easy. I just had an extra mounts right here to remove. That's the steering stabilizer. Unfortunately, this one on this side right here did break off, but I do have the piece, and there's no little pieces missing. It has a safety switch right here. That's for the mower engagement and disengagement. The throttle cable on this one does need to be replaced, so I'll get that out of my way next. And the ignition switch is actually a standard 5-pin plus an extra. So it's actually a 6-pin since it uses one extra plug, but it does use the standard 5-pin right here. It just uses that one extra pin. Light switch, standard. With these machines here, really to do much of anything on them, you do kind of have to tear them apart. Again, I'll show you on the other machine. You do need a bit more than this a simple socket set to take these apart. Everything is pretty much nut and bolted, versus Craftsman's usually everything is just bolted, and they use self-tapping bolts. So you do need a little bit more hand tools to get these ones apart, but still they are very simple to work on, and they're halfway decent machines. I'm kind of liking the Toros right now, since they are very easy to work on. I don't know about the rear end as of yet. I might change my opinion later on, since I've done countless of rear ends in Craftsman's. First one will be in a Toro. So keep it in like this, get it stripped down, rest of the way, and this machine will be going for scrap. Save the wiring harness and save everything else I did mention. Okay, here is my completely put together Toro. There's a few differences with this machine right here. This is a little bit nicer machine, even though they pretty much use all the same parts. Same 38-inch deck, same rear end, same frame, same hood, except for one minor difference with the hood, which I'll show in a second. And there's one minor difference with the engine in this one as well. This one's labeled as a 16 horse, versus the other ones are labeled as a 13 horse. The other difference is this one's an overhead valve. It's a factory overhead valve engine. It did originally have the Toro top cover, but I swapped it out with this one right here, a Briggs & Stratton turbo cooled, because the Toro one had a hole drilled in it. This machine really was the best deal possible. It was free on the side of the road, and I nabbed it up. It did have some minor issues with the carburetor, but everything has been resolved. This machine is sold, but it's been sitting here for quite some time, and I have been paid on it. So yeah, I'm kind of getting a little bit pissed off continuing to store this machine, since the machine is paid for. And yes, the people sometimes answer my messages, but still they have not came and got it. This machine does need a little bit of deck work, but nothing major. It is fixable. It is solid where you need it to be solid. I was originally going to change out the hood, but why should I change out the hood on a machine? For one, that's paid for, and two, the people have not came and got it yet. If they're in communication with me more, and I would have told them, yeah, I have another hood for it that's nicer, give me an extra few bucks for it, and I can put it on. But since they're not in direct, constant communication with me, I'm not doing anything to this machine. I have taken the battery out of it, since it did have a fairly new battery in it. And yeah, I will, like I said, include an extra front hoop and casing. That's just because I'm a nice guy. Really, the main difference is with this one is that front piece right there being an overhead valve. The muffler is a little bit different on this, and it puts it down a little bit lower, so the heat shield for the hood is slightly different. So that there would have to be swapped out to one with an L head, or overhead valve one would have to be swapped out back and forth. You know what I mean? So you'd have to swap that piece out for that to fit the overhead valve, or you'd have to swap that piece out for it to fit the L head muffler. So that's really the only difference between them. This one has a little bit different wiring harness. This one has the second key that runs the seat safety, that runs the mowing in reverse. The other ones don't have that safety feature. Other than that, they're exactly the same. So I'll talk to them later. Please keep it redneck like always, and please subscribe and comment.